What's going on, everyone? Welcome back to the show. So one thing that we're seeing in the fight to control the House of Representatives, we're seeing redistricting. And we saw this in Texas, and Missouri just approved a new redistricting plan. And so Missouri might be able to gain one more seat for Republicans. We know Texas, they had 5 seats right now that they think that they'll be able to win, so they could gain 5 seats in Texas. We see California also talking about gaining seats for Democrats. Now, when it comes to California, California is a little different. They have already indicated that they want to draw new lines, but they have to put it on the ballot. And the reason that they have to put it on the ballot is because they have an independent commission that handles redistricting. And so in order to do that, they have to ask Californians, are you okay with this redrawing of lines? And so Proposition 50, that's what they're talking about right now. November 4th, we're going to see what happens when it comes to drawing these new lines. And Democrats are really counting on California coming through with this redrawing of lines. Because if Californians vote not to redraw these lines, then that could mean control will go back to Republicans. And I'm going to show you all the details in this video because this is something that we're all going to be watching very closely. I'll continue to put out videos and we'll talk about the election, the midterm elections, as well as these special elections. And we'll be talking about Prop 50 to see the likelihood of this passing. And we're also going to ask AI. And so we're going to ask AI if they think this bill will pass. And we're also going to look at the details when it comes to what could California gain from redrawing these lines. So that's what we're going to focus on in this video. But first off, you guys can do me a favor. Please like the video. And if you're watching this video and you want to see more content like this, please consider subscribing to the channel. Okay, so the first thing I want to focus on is I want to focus on the map. This is very important. Now, this map is showing California's old district. Okay, so their current district. I won't say old district, their current district. Because we don't know if the new district will be approved, we have to use the old district. However, when it comes to Texas, this is the new map for Texas. And you see a lot of red. You don't see very much blue. Okay, you see these small little areas here that are blue. And this is right now what we're doing is we're looking at the latest polling and we're making predictions when it comes to where we think Democrats will win and where we think Republicans will win. Now, when we go to the green here, this green is a toss-up. Right now, when we're looking at the tally, we have toss-ups at 21. Okay, so we have 21 races all across the U.S. that are too close to call. And when it comes to Democrats, the predictions showing us right now, Democrats will win 212 seats. When it comes to Republicans, right now it's showing that Republicans will win 212 seats. Now you need 218 seats to win. And so what we're not including in here are the toss-ups. We don't know what's going to happen with the toss-ups, but you can see just looking at this, Republicans have a clear advantage because they're at 212. And so what that means is right now, just based on the latest polling, all Republicans need to do is win 6 seats, 6 of those toss-up seats, and they will maintain control of the House. And so now you see why it's crucial that California be able to redraw their lines and potentially add 5 Democratic seats in California. Because Texas, what they're trying to do is add 5 seats. And right now, we could say they have solid 4 seats. But when it comes to Cuellar, when it comes to that green area down there, it's a toss-up right now, so Democrats could still win that seat. So let's just say Democrats win that seat, and then Republicans would have 4 seats, so they would gain 4 seats. So that still puts a lot of pressure on California. And so looking at this right here, I believe California has about 9 Republican seats. Now we're going to switch over to the newly redrawn map. Okay, now remember, they still need to vote November 4th. So this is a redrawn map, but it doesn't come into play unless Californians say this is approved. Okay, so this is the new redrawn map. Now I want to say this one more time. We're not going to know if this map is in play yet until after November 4th, after Californians vote. But I do want to show you. It shows right here, Democrats at 44, Republicans at 3, and then you have the districts that went from Republican to Democrat at 5. Okay, so that's that purple there, and that's what we're going to be focusing most of our attention on. And so looking at these districts, and I think I need to make a correction here. This actually should be blue here, and then we should have purple here. Okay, so it's this district, not this district. And so this is what we're looking at. So we have these 5 seats that are in purple. Now, when we're looking at these 5 seats in purple, these are the seats that Republicans currently hold and could potentially lose because they've redrawn the maps where now you have more Democrats that are in these districts, and these Democrats will most likely vote for Democrats. There's no guarantee, but it gives the advantage to Democrats. And I'm going to show you the actual predictions. We'll go to that right now. Okay, here's another view of the district map, and we've plugged in all of the different districts. And so Doug LaMalfa, he is currently the Republican that is in this seat. And you see before they drew the new lines, it was a Republican plus 26 district, which means that he was almost a shoo-in to win. Okay, it's a solid Republican seat. However, after they drew the new lines, now it's a Democrat plus 11 seat. And so now it leans Democrat. So that means that Democrats have a real good shot of winning that seat. Now let's move on. California 3, Kevin Keeley. He's a Republican. It used to be, before they drew the new lines, it was a Republican plus 9, which means Republicans have a good possibility of winning that seat. However, they redrew the lines, and now it's a Democrat plus 6 seat. And so now Democrats have the advantage. And so now it leans for a Democrat. Okay, let's move on. California 22, David Vladow. I think it's Vladow. He's a Republican. Now, this seat is interesting because before they drew the new lines, it was a Democrat plus 2, okay? And you have to understand, they're looking at the latest polling, and that's where they're getting this information from. And so Democrats already had an advantage. And so when they redrew these lines, now it's Democrat plus 7, okay? So it still leans for the Democrats, but it didn't really increase that much. It went from Democrat plus 2, which is pretty much a toss-up, to now a Democrat plus 7, which means it's leaning for the Democrats. So you have a little bit more support from Democrats by redrawing those lines. Okay, California 41, Ken Calvert. Now this is interesting because I looked at this. I went to the actual government website to see the newly drawn district, and I personally believe the district is right here, but they're showing the district right here. And so I'm just going to go with what the information that's out there. And that's the information that's out on the government website right now that's showing California 41 is this district here. But when you look up the actual cities, it doesn't align with Calvert's district. And so we'll have to see if they make an adjustment to that, or if maybe they've completely, I don't know what they did with the redistricting there. But nonetheless, it doesn't matter because we're still just looking at Ken Calvert's district, California 41, as it's stated. And Ken Calvert is a Republican, and his seat before the redistricting was R plus 7. So it leaned Republican. And so they had an advantage. Republicans had an advantage in that district. However, now it's Democrat plus 16. And so now it's likely that a Democrat will win that seat. A plus 16, that's a huge margin. And you see the flip where it goes from plus 7 Republican to now plus 16 Democrat. Okay, last seat we're going to look at is California 48. This is Darrell Issa's seat. And he is a Republican. It was Republican plus 20 before they drew the new lines. And now it is primarily a toss-up, Democrat plus 0.1. Okay, so now they've moved it from Republican plus 20 to a real race, where now it's a toss-up and a Democrat could win that seat. And so that means that Darrell Issa is going to have to put a lot of resources into this race in order to win. And so, and just looking, and you see here is the district here, and then we have this district here. Like I said, it says California 41, but we don't know if it's that or not. We'll have to see. Then you have the California 22 district right here. So that's Central California. So we go from San Diego to Riverside to Central California, and then we have 2 in Northern California, District 1 and District 3. And then the rest, which right now we're only showing, what is it, four different districts here? Actually, no, 3 different districts. So we have California 5, California 23, and California 40. These are the districts that Republicans right now will probably be able to control. Okay, they'll probably be able to maintain those districts. And so realistically, looking at the map, Democrats have an advantage in 4. I mean, they have a pretty strong advantage in 4 of those districts. And then Darrell East's district is pretty much a toss-up. And so we could see 4 seats gained in California. We could actually see 5 seats gained in California. And so right now, this is really important because if we're looking at the count again before, we're not even looking at the toss-ups yet, the 21 toss-up seats. If we're just looking at Democrats and Republicans, Democrats are at 202, Republicans are at 212. If we were to see California be able to redistrict, and they voted in favor of redistricting, then California, let's say they move up 5 seats. Let's do the easy math here. They move up 5 seats. So now they're no longer at 202, they're at 207. Republicans will lose 5 seats because they're going to lose those 5 seats in California. And so they will drop from 212 down to 207. And so what that will mean, if we're looking at the current state with 21 toss-ups, we're going to have 207 for Democrats, 207 for Republicans, and then we're going to be focused on those toss-up seats. And that's where everyone's going to be focusing their attention because that is going to determine who is going to control the House. And so now, what does AI think about this? And so what I did is I asked AI the question, do you think that Prop 50 will pass? And this is what AI said. Okay, so the first thing, they're doing the polling snapshot. So they're looking at the latest polling, which is good. They're saying right now, support slightly ahead, but high undecideds remain. So this is important to focus on if you have undecideds. And then it says here, recent polls show yes in the low to mid 50s. So if you want this to pass, that's good. That looks good. No in the 30s with 15% undecided. So you have that 15% undecided, even if, and you have to look at it like this, even if all of the undecideds decide, let's say this poll is really accurate, all the 15%, they say they're going to go with no. That still leaves what, 45%, and that's under that 50 to low to mid 50 range. And so it would still pass even with the undecideds in play. However, if we see some of the people that are saying that they would vote for it, so that 50%, or around the 50%, if some of them decide, you know what, maybe this isn't a good idea, and they go against it, so it'll be close enough where the proposition might not pass if you have some detractors later down the line. And let's look at some of the challenges. It says large undecided block. That could be a challenge. Schwarzenegger. So Schwarzenegger is not endorsing Prop 50. He's saying vote against it, vote no. Okay. And really what some politicians are out there. First off, you have to understand some Republican politicians in California, they don't want it to pass because it shrinks the amount of representatives that they have. And so they're going to be out there saying no. Of course, Republicans all over the U.S. are going to be saying no. President Trump might even come out and endorse Proposition 50 saying no. So no to Proposition 50. And so we're going to hear more and more of that in the very near future because this election is right around the corner. And then here's a risk here. It says voters see it as politicians drawing their own maps. Now, we saw that in Texas. And so this is a response to what Texas did. So it's going to, Prop 50, the yes for Prop 50, they're going to have to do a good job of convincing Californians, look, this is what Texas is doing. The only reason that we are doing this is because Texas is doing this. We wouldn't be doing this if Texas didn't do this, and we're just trying to even out the field. Okay, let's look at some of the strengths here. California Democratic majority favors passage. So you have a lot of Democrats that are in California. I think we all know that. And then here it says framed as a counter to GOP redistricting in Texas and Missouri. I didn't talk much about Missouri, but Missouri did just approve the redistricting. So they're going to redistrict. They might be able to gain one more seat for Republicans. And then it says messaging, protecting democracy, balancing GOP maps. So those are the strengths for yes for Prop 50. And then the impacts, we talked about this. They will be able to redraw the lines. Okay, that's basically what this will allow. We could potentially see 5 seats. This offsets the GOP gains elsewhere. And then also we could see some challenges in court when it comes to the redrawing of these lines. Okay, so now let's get to AI's prediction. So it says likelihood of passage. Polling, early surveys show support slightly ahead, but with high undecided. So we talked about that already. Says the electorate, California's deep Democratic majority favors passage. So because you have the electorate, you have a lot of Democrats, we could potentially see this pass as a result of that. Narrative framing, protecting democracy, balancing GOP maps. And they're saying that this resonates with the progressive base. It says overall odds, moderate to good chance of passage. So you're at a moderate to good, but not guaranteed if undecided swing to no. And so AI thinks it would be moderate to good, which is probably a good sign for yes for Proposition 50. Now they're talking about the swing votes. We talked a little bit about that. If it's 15%, if the polling is accurate and it is 15%, that won't be enough to win when it comes to no for Proposition 50, because you're going to need over 50% in order to strike down Proposition 50. And if we're looking at polling at 30%, so 30 saying no, and then over 50% saying yes, and then you have that 15% undecided, it's not going to be enough. So I want to know what you guys think. So let me know in the comments below. If you like this video, please give me a thumbs up. Please subscribe for more, and I'll talk to you in the next one. Bye. So that's all we have for this video. Make sure if you guys want to send me an email, you can do that, david@thetecshow.com. Like the video, subscribe for more, and check out these videos over here for some more great content. Talk to you later. Bye.